is Ash here coming at you today in Clash Royale. Today, I have some guests on for, I was going to say the Broken series, but we're switching it up a little bit. Maybe we'll do, if my viewers want, we'll still do the normal Broken video where we share our balance change ideas. But today, I have guests Boofaretti, Clash with Shane, and Sir Tag on the channel talking about cards that will never die. Guaranteed 100%, or you can unsubscribe from all of your YouTuber friends here on the channel. So guys, we have a lot of cards to get to here. We talked a little bit about, we had like an unofficial snake draft of these cards that we didn't have any duplicates off air. So who wants to go first? Who's the most confident of their card absolutely never dying no matter what?
I'm pretty confident about mine.
Okay, Sir Tag is confident. Tag, how you been, man? You good?
Yeah, I'm chilling. I'm having a great time.
Good. Okay, so what's your card?
Yeah, so my first card is going to be the Miner. I mean, we just see it in almost every single deck. And even after the nerf, it still is being dominant at the top of the usage rate and win rate. Right now, it's at a 14.28% usage rate everywhere. And that's pretty crazy that it's the 11th most used card in the game. And it's a win condition. Usually, it can just double up as a win condition and a supportive card. You can see it in giant Miner decks with Prince. You can see it in its own win condition with Miner Control Bomb Tower. You can see it with almost everything from Lava Hound to Giant to Balloon. It's crazy how versatile it is, and that's why I think that even though if it gets a nerf in the future with its damage, it's still going to be a reliable tank for bait cards, and I just don't see it going anywhere.
I agree. Unless they come up with something like is like better than a Miner, a better option, which I don't think they could ever do. They haven't done it yet, right? Does anybody disagree with the Miner being the safest bet in the one of the safest win condition bets in terms of a card to invest in? Even though it's a legendary, it's not like you can be like, yeah, I'm just going to upgrade my max out my legendary, no big deal. But do you guys, anybody disagree with that?
I don't know. I feel like the Miner is very, very easy to catch after a little bit, and you can see it repetitively. Like, he doesn't get that many connections all the time, and it can be a counter for positive elixir trade sometimes and just counter push with it. I think if the Miner got a slight damage, a slight HP nerf, people won't use it as much.
Interesting. So you think there is a way or a day or whatever that the Miner could actually be I don't see it, man. I'm actually with Tag on this one. Shane, do you agree?
I agree with Tag, and the only exception to that is if they ever introduce, like I said, another card that creeps on the Miner's like role in a deck. Like if you had like a 4 elixir or 5 elixir Miner that's better, then maybe it dies. But besides that, it's just too versatile to die in meta.
I agree. So it looks like Boof Freddy's on an island by himself. I'm just joking, Boof. Yeah, interesting points, but I agree with you, Tag. Tag, what's your second card? Let's just do 2 each.
Okay, so the second one would definitely be the Musketeer. Its usage rate is pretty high with 2.6 Hog Rider, lots of Miner control decks with Balloon and Bomb Tower, and then even Graveyard right now. So the thing about the Musketeer is it's got ridiculously high damage and really long range. So when you're looking at like Electro Wizard, Musketeer, Wizard, Witch, it's just better because, I mean, it costs less elixir than the Witch and the Wizard. It has longer range, so it's safer, and it does more damage. So it's one of those cards that unless they change how long the range is, I feel like it's still going to be played more than the Witch, the Wizard, and everything else. So the concept was like power creep, I think that you Shane mentioned before. That's the same concept with most of the range cards, but I just don't see that ever applying to the Musketeer because I think it's just a better card defensively, and I would just use it in all my control decks.
I agree with you 100%. Shane?
Yeah, I was going to say, like, also with that is like with 3 Musketeers being so tied directly to Musketeer, like 3 Musketeers are finally getting into a spot now where they're like viable again in the meta. I don't see them like changing or making any changes to Musketeers like anytime soon.
Listen, I don't have a personal problem with you, Tag. I just want to throw that out there. But while you were talking about the Musketeer, I tried really hard to remember when was the last time I played the Musketeer, and I cannot even remember. I went over the top 10 ladder decks right now, and not a single one of them has the Musketeer because Musketeer is bull ring. There's not a single scenario in which I would play the musketeer versus the firecracker or the magic archer. They're just so much fun to play, and they give you all like so much more flexibility. Musketeer crosses the bridge, skeletons dead.
Wow, a musketeer hater.
I think you're crazy, Boof. I think you're crazy, dude. The
I love
Musketeer's
Boof, man. Boof's in a mood
she's
today. I like it.
insane, dude.
I'm not arguing.
Like every deck, like graveyard, minor control, giant beatdown, like everything uses Musketeer. High damage output, insane range. Like
Muskie's OP,
she's
man.
a very, very strong card.
I have a confession. I have a noob confession to make. Is that sometimes when I see like a pro deck and they have like Ewiz in it or something or Magic Archer, sometimes I'm like, oh, Musketeer right there.
Yeah. It's like an easier.
It's
bet,
easier.
right?
I feel like it's like low skill. Yeah. Obviously. Go ahead, Tag.
My Musketeer in my video today actually got like 15 worth of elixir value, and it's also
see that plug. Sir Tag YouTube, check it out. You might want to see my Musketeer in my video earlier today.
You guys want to see how a pro plays?
No, it is a low skill maneuver. It's not something that you really have to think about too much. You just literally defend it, and it's in the middle of the map, and it pretty much cleans up any push, as Ash said before. Its usage rate is actually 21%. So I was looking that up, and that's the highest by far. So if we look at the next one, Electro Wizard is 16%, and then Hunter is 12%, and those are the ranged units that are like comparable to it. So it's a pretty big jump from the first biggest usage rate from Musketeer for the next biggest one, with Electro Wizard coming in at number 2 with a 16% usage rate.
And you don't see you see her as like, in terms of practicality, you see Musketeer as being a card that my viewers can invest in with with certainty that the card's pretty much always going to be viable, barring like a huge nerf, sudden or unexpected nerf.
I mean, I really didn't even think about what Shane said, but yeah, that makes so much more sense. Like, he helped me. He helped me build my point there. There's no chance. There's no chance they nerf the three Musketeers.
The 3 Muskies. Yeah.
Because they're actually back in the place where they finally needed to be.
Yeah.
And the Musketeer's tied to it. So
all right.
she's just on the raft.
All right, Tag, you scored 2 points there, man. I think I agree with you. Those are safe bets. I actually had a video like this about a year and a half ago, and I said 3 Musketeers would never die in it. And then like the next month, they nerfed the hell out of the 3 Musketeers. So that sucked. But anyway, Boof, you have problems with everybody. Why don't you go next, man? Why don't you go next?
Yeah.
What do you have that's so good?
The number one card that will never die is the Valkyrie. I think the Valkyrie is probably one of the most versatile cards in the game. It doesn't matter what deck you're playing, you can replace it with a Valkyrie, and you're always gonna get so much value out of a Valkyrie. Like she is super tanky. She does area damage. She's red-headed. I don't see any single problem with the Valkyrie, and it's a card that you're gonna unlock pretty early. It's a rare, so it's gonna be very easy to just get those tokens and max her all to the level. What other card does what the Valkyrie does? I can list 5 cards that do the exact same thing that the Musketeer does. Valkyrie, who can replace the Valkyrie?
Mega Knight.
No.
2 Royal Ghosts facing different directions. All right. I actually agree with you on Valkyrie, although I want to mention, I'm not sure if maybe my old school viewers can remember this, but she was really crappy for a period of time. It was a while ago, maybe 2 years ago or something. I don't know. But there was a period of time before they changed her swing speed or her first attack speed or whatever the heck it was, that like no one really used her. But now I agree, even though her use rates, I don't have them in front of me, but I'm guessing they're pretty low compared to some other cards in the game. But I still think that, no one sees a Valkyrie and they're like, easy. This guy must have no clue what he's doing. So I agree with you, Miguel. Oops, Boof, shit.
My name is not a secret, Ash. It's okay.
Okay, I agree with you, Miguel.
People are like, who? We got a new guest? Miguel.
No, I agree, though. Yeah, Valkyrie is like a pretty safe bet, especially like if you're like a new player getting into the game. Investing in the Valkyrie isn't necessarily a bad choice. She is kind of like outshined right now by the Knight for 1 less elixir, but in terms of like long-term safe bet, she's pretty good.
But you would go with the Knight. Would you rather the Knight or the Valkyrie?
In my deck, I'd rather go Knight. I think for 1 less elixir.
Okay.
I mean,
no, I mean to invest in. If you're buying stocks, you're buying stocks in one of these.
I just can count like a million times a day where I have the most perfect push coming down, and the second they cross the bridge, they drop a Valkyrie on it, and my whole day is ruined.
But the better question is would you rather date Valkyrie or musketeer? I'm hard hitting questions here.
Valkyrie for sure.
Yeah,
I'm gonna go
Valkyrie's got a
Valkyrie
wild
too.
side.
Yeah, Valkyrie. Tag?
So
Tag's like, I'm in a relationship, guys. I can't answer.
This video just turned. This video just did a 180 completely,
Yeah, yeah.
right?
I just want to say that
If my viewers
the
want to
night-
see would you rather date video podcast coming up, just let us know. I'll make it happen.
Yeah.
Tag?
All right, so I think that the Knight is significantly better than the Valkyrie at the moment, but as Shane said, I view it as more of a long-term play. The Valkyrie is not a card that will ever die. However, she is really, really slow. So she's going to try to get counter push for 4 elixir. It's just going to get countered same as a Knight would. And for 3 elixir, I'd rather do that and have a graveyard tank or defend my Expo rocket cycles with a Knight compared to a Valkyrie, because it's just it doesn't really
and I feel like the thing with Knight and Valkyrie too is that they're constantly like switching in and out of the meta. Like for a couple months it's Knight in the meta, and then a couple months it's Valkyrie in the meta. So like definitely not one of the safest bets, but
Okay, all right. Shane coming back at you there. What's your second card? I agree with you on Valkyrie, though. I agree. She's a good long-term relationship. I agree with Tag. What do you think, Booth? LTR.
My second one is going to be the bats. I just don't think, like, it has to be one of the cards that does the most amount of damage per elixir. And I cannot count how many times have I sat there and seen a full HP P.E.K.K.A. across the bridge and just 2 elixir bats completely devouring the P.E.K.K.A., right? If you don't have a zap, if you don't have a giant snowball, if you don't have a counter and they surprise you with the bats, you're dead. One time, you know, when you get those bats as they sneak into your tower, you use a miner or whatever to defend, one bat can be the whole difference between winning or losing. They just do way too much damage. If you don't have a counter for them, your day is ruined.
Yeah, I agree. I think bats are pretty like, they've been like very, very strong in the meta for like a very long time now. So,
but what if they remove a bat like they did once upon a time? Like if they remove a bat, would the whole card be ruined?
Yeah, it'd kill it. Yeah, it's kind of like because it used to suck, right? When it was 4 bats, I think it was.
Yeah, I don't know.
It was really, really bad, and then they added an extra one. Now it's OP.
Because that DPS.
That was a long time ago, though, right?
Yeah. Do you think they would ever balance it that way again, though? Probably not, right? After they've changed it.
I don't think so. What I can see them doing, like my personal wish list here, is like nerfing the health and damage of both skeletons and bats a bit, so they still one-shot each other, but they deal less damage. But
that would nerf graveyard considerably, and
that would nerf. It would also nerf
the graveyard's OP too, so that's okay.
And the
I'm
witch.
just gonna say,
Night Witch.
No, she's
and
not
witch.
the witch.
Yeah, skeletons are 3, right? They lost Larry, and they're still the 3rd most used card in the game. So even that nerf didn't kill it.
Yeah. Okay, so I guess I agree with you on bats.
Yeah, I don't think I'll die anytime soon.
Tag, is that a safe bet in your estimation?
I think they're unbelievably overpowered right now, so I feel like they could die. Just because they're so strong right now, there's a potential of balance changes. Yeah, they might be like, hey, they're kind of using every single deck right now with a 27% usage rate. Kind of need to nerf them. Let's see what it looks like with them out of the meta for a couple seasons or something.
But then the same argument can be made about the miner, though.
Yeah, but the miner was recently nerfed already, and it's not like a super oppressive card. You don't like go and look at it and you're like, wow, that miner just took my tower. It does like 400 damage.
The thing with miner too is that it's the only card that serves its purpose, really. You know, there's no other card like the miner. Where bats, like you could probably find like minions or something. You know, whatever.
Yeah.
But okay, but I mean, I think the bats are OP, so it's hard to like be like take a strong stand against them, right? But at the same time, I that's a good point, a fair point by Tag, that they could be over nerfed. You know, Supercell's maybe accidentally over nerfed a card a time or two in the past, so gotta be on the lookout for that, right?
Rest in peace, Witch.
Yeah.
If they're not nerfed, they're never gonna die in their current form. But if they are nerfed, it could be bad. Yeah.
Okay. So those are Booth's cards, Shane.
All right. First things first is actually going to tie directly into that is Graveyard. I think Graveyard has been one of the longest standing and safest win conditions in the game. I think it's never going to die. You're always a safe bet with Graveyard, because I think the thing with Graveyard is even if it was nerfed slightly, against like lesser skilled players, it can be so punishing. Even if it does get nerfed, like against a lower skilled opponent, it's just really, really easy to kind of outplay them with Graveyard, I feel like. So I think one of the safest bets in the game in terms of cards that never dies is Graveyard. It's been the top tier strategy for all of 2020 and beyond. So I think it's definitely one of the safest cards in the game.
I didn't even think about Graveyard when I was thinking about this video. I guess I'm always scared that they're gonna like a win condition is always susceptible to be nerfed, but at the same time, look at like Giant and Hog, they never touched those cards. Anyway, well I guess they have, but in minor ways.
But the Graveyard's been changed a few times and it's always still been good.
Well,
yeah, but no, I remember a time the Graveyard completely disappeared out of the face of the earth. Yeah, and we would never see it.
For a short period before they changed like the spawn or something like that.
Yes.
I forgot.
Yes.
Right? Are we right there, Tag? What do you think about Graveyard?
Yeah. So if you were saying this like a year ago or maybe like 9 months ago, I would tell you, hey, Graveyard is very dependent on this poison bait and fireball bait cards that you have with it, because if there's not enough poison or fireball bait cards that you can supplement your deck with that are strong, then Graveyard really becomes like a liability since everyone can just save their poison for it, right? But since you've seen the introduction of like Skeleton Dragons, the resurgence of Night Witch, and all these other cards that are not only just really good fundamentally, but they supplement Graveyard and synergize really well with it. So there are too many cards in the game that are poison and fireball bait, and there's so many to choose from. Even if one of them is going to be weak at a certain point, there will always be something that will aid the Graveyard. So I think that Shane is 100% right. I don't see Graveyard going anywhere anytime soon. And especially with the introduction of Royal Delivery and Skeleton Dragons, Graveyard is just amazing.
Yeah, for sure. And like most of the Graveyard decks nowadays aren't even poison bait. Like they don't even have like anything else in there for bait. It's just like Musketeer, Knight, and Graveyard nowadays, right?
Yeah, or Skeleton Dragons sometimes.
Yeah.
Or I mean, it has like one or two cards. Essentially, like you can't poison the Musketeer because there's a Graveyard. Then you lose because you can't kill the Musketeer.
But I think the problem with the Graveyard that we haven't seen with any other card, even though the minor can be a win condition, it's not the only win condition. It's often a pseudo condition, right? Graveyard, it's its own archetype, and I think it would be easier for Graveyard to disappear than it would be for minor, just because minor you can use it everywhere. Bats you can use everywhere. Graveyard, it's its own archetype that I think it would be a lot easier that if you spend a lot of gold getting that, and all of a sudden it's like, well crap, I cannot use this anywhere else. Rip.
I get you.
Yeah,
So,
I don't know. I think it's like I said before, like even if they nerf Graveyard, like unless you're top 1,000 ladder, you can still outplay opponents with it pretty easily with how punishing it can be. So I don't know. I think it's a really, really safe bet, just given the track record of the card. In the meta.
Okay, I'm gonna go. I agree with you that it's a very safe win condition. I think it's about as safe as Golem or something. I don't know. I guess maybe Golem.
Yeah.
Who knows though? Okay. Anyway, I'm gonna stop comparing it with other cards. All right, we'll get into a rabbit hole there. What's your second card, Shane?
Okay. Second card is going to be the Expo, man. This card has a history in Clash Royale. It's always been there. Like 2.9 Expo cycle has been there since the beginning of time. Since before the universe existed, there was 2.9 Expo.
Not before 2.6.
I really think that, like, 2.6 as well. Like those are like the foundations of the universe, right? Yes. But I feel like 4 years, Expo, always one of the top 5 most popular decks in the entire game, despite like people saying the Expo isn't that good or like it's hard to use or whatever. Like it's always the most popular deck in the game. So I think like in terms of being safe, considering they haven't touched it in, it hasn't been nerfed in I don't think ever. It got a buff, I believe it was the spring of last year, got a health buff. But yeah, just given the track record of them not touching the Expo and forever, I feel like it's one of the safest, if not the safest card in the game to play.
You know what strikes me, guys, is like this is to be expected about with any game, I suppose. I'm not even saying this is a bad thing necessarily, but like in the beginning of this game, they changed stuff a lot, right? They changed the elixir cost of like cards like all the time, like P.E.K.K.A. and Bomb Tower and Three Musketeers and Cannon Mortar. Like they changed card costs all the times. Yeah. So and now they don't. I almost feel like almost every card is inherently safer now because they just don't make these drastic changes anymore.
The big changes anymore.
Yeah.
And
obviously that's the competitiveness of the game.
It's been flying under the radar so long. Like
the
I don't
Expo?
know, man. I just don't see them. Yeah.
What made me think of that is Expo targeting air. Go ahead, Booth.
I'm just gonna say that I see a lot of like top ladder people that play Expo, and the amount of time sometimes they play Expo can be zero, and I think most of the time they just use it defensively and they just spell cycle, which is why the card is so hated right now. I think the moment they do another tower, like another tower spell damage nerf, I think Expo is not gonna have its place anymore. I think every single card that they add into the game, and I know that a lot of people say this and get a lot of hate, it's indirectly a nerf for the Expo. And I just think it's too reliant on just 100% defense, and the developers have said that they don't want the game to be hyper defense. Expo is not hyper aggressive.
Yeah, but the funny thing is like they say the game, they don't want it to be hyper defense, and yet they haven't touched Expo. So it's never going to be changed. And even though every new card out of the game is indirectly a nerf to the Expo, or all these balance changes are indirectly nerf to Expo, it still is the top 5 most popular deck in the game, despite everything happening, which just proves how it truly never dies in the meta.
Yeah, but most of the damage is done by the spells, not by the actual Expo.
Yeah, but the Expo, it'll never die, dude. Trust me.
Okay,
you heard our conversation.
Bookmark this video
5 years from now.
We have a
bookmark this video.
We have a fundamental disagreement.
We'll be like, remember when we said they never nerf Expo?
I think in terms of win conditions, Expo is pretty safe, but Booth does. I like that you're hating on every single one of these things so far. It's making for a good video, I feel like. But I feel like you do bring up a good one on this one, because the team has said so many times that they're not happy with like spell damage. I suspect there might be a day where they do nerf. I don't think the Expo is always going to be viable, in my opinion, though. Like, even if they do nerf spells, for example, like 2.9 is still going to be solid. It's just going to be the Icebo version might not be as solid.
Yeah. Do you think like it's just like inevitable? Like the time is coming for Expo to get changed. We just haven't seen it yet, or do you think it's just like truly just never going to be changed?
I think that if people complain about it enough, look at it. I mean, Icebo, Rocket Cycle, that thing is the most hated deck in Clash Royale. It has to be.
Yeah.
So,
it goes against like everything that the team kind of like stands for now in terms of like promoting offensive gameplay and moving away from defensive gameplay, right?
Yeah.
It's like the outlier in the meta right now.
Yeah, but all it takes is Earthquake to get buff.
Yeah,
not even Earthquake, dude. Not even Earthquake.
But Earthquake can't even hit a Tesla if you drop it like 2 tiles from the river. Like there's things that you can do to get around it if you know how to play the matchups at like a higher level, and then you just rocket cycle. So, in all honesty, the thing is, if Expo ever gets a nerf, or if the spells ever get a nerf, look at the other decks that have also evolved. There's Expo Collector with Tesla, and that's also viable. It's still good.
Yeah.
I don't see Expo going anywhere anytime soon unless people really hate on Ice Wizard, Rocket Cycle, and then they're like, you know what? Instead of nerfing spells, let's nerf Expo. So I think
Molt's been trying for about 18 years now to get Expo nerfs. They don't really seem to care about his opinion thus far. I don't think they're gonna care.
I'm gonna give you 3 cards that are most used in Expo right now: Dart Goblin, Skeleton Army, and Inferno Tower. I don't even know what I've seen those cards. Expo has 5% use rate right now. So
it's always had low use rate though.
But what I'm saying is that if you were gonna put all of your eggs in one basket, I don't think Expo is the card that you're gonna be like, oh, I'm gonna spend the 200,000 gold max in this card because I'm gonna forever gonna be able to use it. Versus. I think
I put my eggs in the Expo basket more than I would the Valkyrie basket.
Well, here's the thing, Boof. Here's the thing. I feel like you're making the point.
That is not true.
I feel like you're arguing.
Wait, that is not true, Shane. And I want you to say that is not true, because that is not true.
Dude,
you know that is not true. You know that you would not max your Expo before your Valkyrie if you only had 200,000 gold, and you're saying that to get on my nerves, but that is not true.
Boof, you're crazy, bro, because you just made the argument against or for people to invest in Expo. The fact that it has such low use rates means that they're probably not going to be nerfing it. Like, they don't really have a huge justification in doing so.
Yeah, but it's not gonna be a card that's gonna last forever. Versus when would you ever max your Expo versus a baby dragon that you can use with any archetype in the history of Clash
Listen
Royale?
here, young buck. I've been using Expo since it targeted air, all right? So don't tell me about what they're gonna do to Expo. All right, I'm gonna move on to my cards. It's my time. Okay. It's my time. All right. I have the winning cards here, by the way, guys. I'm gonna change my selection. I previously went with skeletons, but I'm going to nix the skeletons, even though I feel like they're a great card. And I'm going to go with Ice Golem, man. Ice Golem for 2 elixir. They could nerf the Ice Golem, and he's still going to be able to kite. He's still going to get the job done. He still has the Ice Vortex. He's still a good cycle card for 2 elixir. He's still a glass tank for 2 elixir. He provides so much value. I feel like Ice Golem is one of the safest cards you can max out in the game. Tell me why I'm wrong.
Mm-hmm.
Where did you get the Ice Vortex name? Is that the real thing?
Yes, it is. It's called the Ice Vortex. All right. It's on his card. Check the card info.
Yeah, I know. I agree with you. I think the skeletons would have been a better choice, but Ice Golem is pretty. It's safe. We're at a stage right now in the game where like a lot of these cards are honestly just safe. Like they don't do drastic changes anymore unless it's like a really really underused card. But yeah.
Tag. When would you use the Ice Golem versus the Knight?
So Ice Golem is generally going to be used when you need to kite units to the opposite lane and just have a faster cycle in general. Yeah. So it's with decks that don't really need assistance, like the Ice Wizard, Rocket Cycle will need the Knight most of the time because you don't have high damage, right? So you need some supplementary way of chipping things down. But when you have the high damage of the Musketeer, you're definitely going to want like an Ice Golem for the faster cycle with Balloon. Also, when you want to use Zap in conjunction with the Ice Golem Nova, it pops and it kills minion hordes. So it's just a little bit better with any Balloon deck. It's a little bit better when you have Musketeer and cards that have high damage so you can kite and distract for longer periods of time opposed to the Knight just going towards the P.E.K.K.A. and the Ice Golem is able to pull it away, so then the Musketeer has longer time to chip it away. So it's generally dependent on that. Also, I think it's just a little bit better right now as the safest card. Like I really love the Ice Golem because even if it gets nerfed, then it's still going to be viable in a ton of different decks. Whereas the Knight, I feel like it could get theoretically replaced by the Valkyrie or something else depending on balance changes. The Ice Golem will always be good.
Yeah, that's why I think it's safe, right? It's just exactly what you said. If they nerf it, it doesn't matter because just inherently the card, just even if it's just used for kiting and just a little bit of tankage or cycleability, either way, you got it all with Ice Golem. I think Ice Golem is a beast, and I would, if I was a free-to-play new player, like Ice Golem would be one of the first cards that I kind of focus on in terms of just safety and versatility in the card. My second card, gentlemen, before you tear apart my Ice Golem, is going to be the Baby D. So even creating a clone of the Baby D card in the Skeleton Dragons, essentially, Baby D is still an amazing card, and I don't see Baby D not being an amazing card at this point. They've nerfed, I think, Baby D a few times over the years, still been super solid, does a ton of splash damage, doesn't die to fireball. I don't see them ever changing those things about the card. I think the Baby D is always going to be a solid option. What about you guys?
Yeah. I mean, besides Skeleton Dragon kind of power creeping them right now, like if you're like a newer player and you need to invest in Baby Dragon, like majority of the decks that use Skeleton Dragons, that you can get away with using a Baby Dragon. Like, obviously, it's not as effective as Skeleton Dragons right now, but for sure, like you can always just get away with just throwing a Baby D in there, right?
Yeah, right. I mean, would you, if you were a new player starting right now, would you rather invest in Skeleton Dragons or Baby D?
Baby D, just because of the track record of being
one's epic, one's common, but let's pretend they were the same rarity. Yeah,
because like Skeleton Dragons, like you don't know, like they might get nerfed again with how strong they are. So it's a way safer bet for Baby D for sure.
Miguel, do you agree?
I have no complaint. It's just like I think it's damage. It's too little, but you don't get that card there to do damage. It's a pretty good bet. Other than what you were saying about.
If they gave the Baby D a damage buff, people would be complaining in 2 seconds.
I agree with that. But I agree with that. I think it's a solid card. I personally like the Musketeer better than the Baby D, but they just serve completely 2 separate purposes.
Yeah, totally can relate. So I guess I win. Thank you, everybody.
Whoa.
I'm just joking.
Let the viewers decide.
Yeah, let's let the viewers decide. Which cards do you guys think are never going to die? Which cards that we didn't mention are never going to die? And again, let us know if you want any of those, like, who would you rather date question. I think that's a really riveting conversation.
I got one more card there, guys. The credit card.
Give it to us.
Oh, wow.
The what?
The credit card.
The credit card. Never.
Never
That is truly the most OP
I
card that needs a nerf in the game.
I want to make a quick note that we decided not to talk about spells because we thought the video would be super dumb. So please don't go down the comments saying, "Oh my gosh, I didn't talk about the log or the zap."
For the two viewers still watching, they'll know not to mention that in the comments. That'd be great. So, hey guys, in all sincerity, thank you again for supporting the guests here on the channel. We got Booferetti, we got Shane, we got Sir Tag, all of their player stats and info. Why not? It's going to be linked below thanks to statsroyale.com, and of course all their YouTube channels, all their social media links. Give these guys some love. Use their creator codes as well. Guys, go ahead and tell me all your creator codes. I always get them wrong.
Shane.
CWA.
Code SirTag.
There you go. You guys can just Boof, what is your real creator code? Do you have one?
You just said it. BUF. Buff.
Oh, Boof. Okay, buff. All right, guys, so support my creator friends here on the channel, and that's going to do it for the video. Again, let us know what you think about these cards in the show notes below. Huge shout out to Bren Chong, my YouTube partner. Guys, thanks for coming on. I appreciate it, as always. And, as always, take care, guys. God.
Hey, wait. I'm going to say before Tag blocks me on Twitter that I was just being an ass for the sake of being an ass.
Oh, I know. Yeah.
Just to add the spiciness, because I feel like people really love to have a villain on Ash's videos, and I didn't want it to be so happy-go-lucky.
Yeah, oh yeah, I agree with you. Yeah, I agree with you.
Yeah, and this is the part of the video where I tell you guys that I'm still recording.